Welcome back, everyone. I know you've been waiting many months for this year. We've been preparing for many months, and we actually gave this year already a couple of weeks ago, but it was Shabbos. When the Shabbos clock wasn't working, we weren't able to record it. So now, Baruch Hashem, we'll be able to give this year of Sukkos B'tzil Dem Nusa. B'nyonei Chag Sukkos is mamish. It's a bechina from Hoytche B'Hoyt from Sukkos. So the thing is about Taisus. Well, the Meister Shoy Kachaya on Rosh Hashanah, I was in shul, and after davening, the Toikea asks me, "Do you want to hear some more Tkelis? You know, you do two, the ganze all different shiurim, two. I said, "No, ich darf nicht." I said, "If you want, if you make it, I'll listen." He's like, "No, I want to know if you want." I said, "No, I'm not interested." Why? There's a shal about Taisus, no? Just adding Tekiyas as we can make a zayton. What's the header? Chaver is just. Knock down, they both 10,000 kilos from the Yed Shita, but on the side you already yaitz, and let's say they both yaitz with both of them. If you only yaitz with one of them, fine. It's just about taste because right? One of them, but on the side you yaitz with both of them, which I'm assuming is a tzad. You know, two. It's still going to say that Yavava is this. So why isn't about taste? So it comes and they gave a sukkah also. Everybody's like, wait a second. But so for this shiloh, we gotta go through Taisus over here in Rosh Hashanah. Daf Chavches, no other places. Also, Taisus asks like this. Chavchesim Beis. He asks, "V'im toimar hod omer perakamo, lama toikin marian kishen yoshvin, v'toikin marian kishen oimdin, k'dei la'avi v'sasotin, v'ovar mishum al taisis v'taisis, adrabah, Chazal misakin t'kiyas shofar, an extra over 30 kilos. The Raisa you need 30 kilos. Chazal misakin 100 kilos. So v'asam mitbal taisis, how did Chazal have the right to do such a thing? He goes, Yesh loima. There's no Bal Taisis if you do one mitzvah twice. You bal the mitzvah to blow shofar. If you blow shofar twice, it's talking Bal Taisis. So there, the Gemara says Birchas Kohanim is Bal Taisis if you add an extra bracha. Why isn't it you give me a bracha twice? So then, the Birchas Kohanim nami. I feel mavorch in Kampam Tzibur Echod in Bal Taisis. Elam ke moisiv bracha achas. Yes, mechadish anay bracha. You go Yosef Hashem Aleichem Kechem. But if he just says Yivarech Hashem 10 times, that's just Gemal Taisis, a Chiddush from Taisis. Mecherim not a lulav, Kama Pom Bayoyim. If you shake lulav 10 times, Oichel the Pesach, Kama Zeisim Shal Matzah, ain't about Taisis. You ever have been if you eat 2 Zeisim Matzah, that's about Taisis. Yeah. So you see Taisis, according to Taisis, so there's no problem. You can hear as many Tekiyas as you want. There's no about Taisis hearing anything. Okay, fine, very good. Well, so far so good. So maybe you don't have Machmas, and you can hear talk all the brisket Tekiyas. Taisus say, and I don't want to be mamshechul Taisus, and the other, is Taisus, is it muskim? You know, what about if you're listening to Tekiyas mitzad brisker, if you don't know Hashita, it's halt nicht Taisus, you know. So then you have to know. Maybe you should be machmir the other way around. I tell you that it's a very interesting zach, which mamash a pliyat sumav in this gova, which I haven't seen anyone give a good answer to this question, to this pattern, this Taisus. So like this, maybe the cover the chag. I think I have a shtickle solution, but we'll see if one of our thousands of listeners will come up with something better than that. He says like this: V'chein ba'adas va'arovos shebelulav afilu neisin kama hadasim kama harovos belulav in zebal teisiv afilu madam l'tzorach eged elam kein moisif minachot. What just happened? She skipped the whole bridge. He starts to say about they'll do a mitzvah twice. And Birchas Kohanim, you have to add another bracha. Why? Because otherwise you're doing a mitzvah twice. So therefore you're sticking 4 hadasim with 3 arav. This is 6 Yisrael. Unless you added 11. Lady to Kulyamas. Then you have Shannon. What am I? Shemitah's alarm menuchas. What's the zushtel from 3 hadasim, 4 hadasim to 2 mitzvahs? It takes mamish mind boggling, you know? Seems like we're missing something. Okay. Mechas Grada asks a very similar question, but he doesn't mamish. Doesn't ask it like that, but people blame it on the Mechas this kasha. In other words, what's it? He doesn't like this for another reason. Well, the MS any idea ma'achriach the Rabbi saying about the Taisus Mechas Chinuch talking. Hashbis davar zeh. Hein basiyas a mitzvah kama pam v'hem kefil a mitzvah gnштei esloim chademe. The Chayei Shachal like this. He has a mitzvah kama pam kiyun kiyas v'elu v'hem matzah that Torah costs a yom tchua. This is a different story. Kachan b'yom rishim erev teichel matzah. And can he that Torah he's a tzrichel nishil mitzvah. He says Yom True means Kol Yom, but adding on Mechades Yerleru. But the Taisus is more. It's more fundamental. What's going on in this Taisus? And I want to answer the challenge of this Taisus, which can be the main point of this discussion / lecture / shir / for SRA is so we don't want to make the other kasha that the Tzemach asks. He quotes Taisus, and then he says like this. Now we're going to get to, like I said, the other sheet is Taisus Taka Muslim. Because of the like kashi kushis at Taisus, Shom Ech Toigen Shnei Pamim. The Moisif the Einoi Oive Bebal Toisif Rakim Oisim Yidah Satzim. If you're going Koyin, Aval Masha Tiknu Chazal Tzorich En Kamal Toisif. Gan Nemer Al Pi Atere. So the garage will push it there. It's Chazal the Koyach to be Mesakin, whatever they want. The Melo. There's no Bal Toisif. So like the Rajba, what do you hold, Rabbeinu? Could you blow extra tekiyos nach davening? According to Rajba, you can't. He doesn't say anything. It's all right. Baruch Hashem, stay by the last second. So like this. No, but the Mechana goes weiter. He says, no, it can't be the Rajba's Chaylik on Taisus. Up there, Kashal Dvarim can't heich noitim lulav kamapam bayim. The kam is the massive little Pesach. Well, it took me Chazal Tzarech. The Taisus was the Kazray. We can't get to the Chital Das the Rajba Osir Lita lulav elonich tefillin kamapam bayim. So the Mosai the Rajba's moide the Taisus is Svarah. And Chumachadish Libra Taisus Mokum because he said he wants to say the Rajba's master. Okay, so now let's see if it's so posh now. So if you ask the trial basically is why didn't the Rajba say Taisus answer such a posh to tear it? So the answer to this is like the Kav Shuran. He brings down Rajba and Shuvas. He says like this: the Gemara says it's Bal Taisus. Fekter B'chonan, Fekter Rajba name a Heilig Udekai. What's Heilig Udekai? You find the Gemara in Sanhedrin. The Gemara says the Gabi Zokin Mamre that if you hold lulav ein sarach aged, the lulav doesn't have to be tied together. So Heilig Udekai means there's no Bal Taisus because you don't see a connection if you're just adding another min without tying it together. If lulav ein sarach aged, so then you say Heilig Udekai. It's not considered Bal Taisus because there's no. I'm not shaking the apple. The apple doesn't look like the Rajba. So two pairs of tefillin, you should also say Heilig Udekai. So he says, Vice does the Rajba that Heilig Udekai is not a heter. There's a big machlokes between if Heilig Udekai makes it mutter, or it just makes it that there's no lav. It takes away malchus, but it's still asur. So Yitain is Heilig Udekai. It's not still asur. Kamal can be gaveris alav. This is the Rajba. It's not true. It takes Heilig Udekai helps for the end of kol meis gereh. But the Gemara says if Bal Taisus passes the mitzvah when it's Heilig Udekai, the mitzvah is not possible. But you're still over Bal Taisus. What's the sushta? What does the Rajba want? The Bishleim ba'arbo minim imaisiv min chamishi shaper shaychlem the Udekai. Shliar Bal Taisus shana ilu hayanoito amin chamishi levado like a Bal Taisus. Dein zu ma'aseh mitzvah klal ben Bal Taisus. The guy just shakes an apple. That's not a mitzvah. So you're adding apple. What is that? You need the rest of the mitzvah to make Bal Taisus. It's not a problem. It's a Heilig Udekai. So there, but tefillin, I've below b'shnei zug tefillin. The whole zug have ma'aseh shleim shel mitzvah. I feel you named the Udekai. You can't Bal Taisus. Al Udei ba'atzmoi over Bal Taisus. Fekter Raj, Fekter B'chonan. What shach is Heilig Udekai by zug tefillin? Heilig Udekai, right? They're not connected. But what's the Bal Taisus? It's because I'm wearing two pairs, in other words, or because I'm wearing a pair twice. And it's why look at it, Fekter Raj, Fekter B'chonan. That there's Bal Taisus. There's no Bal Taisus because each one's separate. So you can't combine them. Don't combine them. But the Maisa, I'm wearing two pairs of tefillin. In other words, even though that's connected, I'm still doing two. Each one has. You don't need the other guy to be connected. You don't need to attach it to the second pair to make it Udekai. By lulav, where it needs to be connected to the lulav to make it a Bal Taisus in the first place. So you're shaking lulav. You just you're shaking an apple. There's no mitzvah shaking an apple. There's no Bal Taisus over there because since Heilig Udekai it's separate from the rest. It's nothing. But in fact, there by tefillin, it's not separate. But myself, I'm wearing a pair of tefillin twice. So what Udekai? So Israel B'chon doing a mitzvah twice is Bal Taisus. Let's say you say doing one mitzvah two times is not Bal Taisus. So what's Sharon B'chon's catch? I'm not saying he's assuming that he holds like Taisus. But what do I see from what's see? I mean, I'm saying Anachab is catching so well, but in other words, Ken Zayin the Rajba held first of all that doing a mitzvah twice is not gonna Bal Taisus. But I'll say more than that. In other words, speak learn the Pasha. The Rashba held a vada mitzad hayl chudei koyer kakam chonon's right. Doing a mitzvah twice is not a noble taste. Mitzad atzma. It's not a noble taste in the first place, and that was never his kasha. Narvaz. There's another reason it should be noble taste. I'll explain why. The Gemara, which this would be a kasha on tastes before, and I hope the young doesn't lose track. Basically, the Gemara says later on Rosh Hashanah, Hayoshim Shmini, you should get Malchus. And if the Gemara says you need kavona. Laver kitzah boy kavona. Now the guy sleeps in the sukkah Shmini Atzaris. The shame mitzvahs sukkah. The Gemara says it should be al taisif. How does it shtim? Taisus just said that if you do a mitzvah 2 times, it's no al taisif. So how come sleeping in a sukkah on Shmini? Let's say in Eretz Yisrael to make stuff simpler. Why is it al taisif over there? What's about taisif b'chalal? I'm sleeping in the sukkah an extra day. No, what's going on? You have channeling Gemara's a pliya. No one asks this kasha. Mamash Abam kasha. What's going on? Taisif zok that there's no baltais doing a mitzvah twice. The Gemara says clearly, I'm sleeping in the sukkah. It is baltais. So the Torah is l'chayr like this: that enechanami there's no baltais mitzad the ma'aseh mitzvah 2 times. There's a new baltais that the way that you're adding a day. In other words, if the Torah says shivas yam, so by you. When you sleep in the sukkah on the 8th day, you're making it shmoynes yam. So that is a different type of baltais. If the Torah doesn't, if this is a mitzvah to chleis one time, you do chleis, you put on tefillin, and you put on a second time. Could be taking no baltais. You're not adding on. But if there's a din shivas yamim, and you add on a day, then there's no baltais. But upon him, do you see be'etzem that it would have been shaykh baltaisiv? The idea is shaykh. There are cases where it's possible baltaisiv even if doing the same thing 2 times. So now, back to our taisif before we return to the Rashba. We asked before on taisvis that what is the tzushtel from 3 hadas, adding a hadas, to adding a day? Text is so partial because, like we said, adding a day to adding a moshe shake, blowing shofar twice. Blowing shofar twice should be baltaisiv. Why? Just like you find the Yashim Shmini is baltaisiv, because I'm adding a day. So blowing shofar, I'm adding an amount. Why isn't that baltaisiv? What's up in the tzibur? It's right to try. So what's the taisik is then taisik over here? Depends. If the Torah gives an amount of days, the Torah says shivas yom chveisis. What does it say by sukkah? Whatever it says. Sukkah stays shivas yom. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. So, and you're adding, you're going against the Torah. The Torah doesn't say an amount, so then there's no baltaisiv. Memela, that's good for taisif. So by shofar, it doesn't say uskadim tchua pamachas. It says blow shofar, you can do taisif. So memela, you could add 4 hadasim. Also, the Torah doesn't say 3 hadasim. Even he could clarify that. You could say it says an afetz office. But when stated before amount, but that's the whole you say the taisif. Mitzat atzmai, ain't gonna be just adding an amount. It wouldn't be baltaisiv. Mitzad, there's just doing a mitzvah twice, and not baltaisiv. But there's a new baltaisiv that effect I'm adding an amount. In other words, doing the ma'aseh, talking the ma'aseh, nishkim baltaisiv. But if I'm adding something to the state and Torah, that's baltaisiv. Male taisif have to say like this. But the Rashba, obviously, he didn't go with all this because he held from Hayoshim B'Shmini. He said Taka, he sparred from Hayoshim B'Shmini B'Sukkah. He says, why don't you say Halichudei Kai? So the Rashba answered that. Okay, which 1 second. You could see in the Rashba, it's not like Taisus. In other words, he calls doing a mitzvah twice. He compares it to Halichudei Kai, which is actually a very simple comparison. There's other Acharonim ask the Kash also that essentially then still to the Rashba. They say in doing a mitzvah twice, it's Shpitz Halichudei Kai. You shake a lulav once, then you shake it again. The that's Shpitz Halichudei Kai. In other words, according to the Shitas that hold that Halichudei Kai patters you in Gansen, it's not shaykh to say that doing a mitzvah twice is baltaisiv ever. You can never say that doing a mitzvah twice is baltaisiv if you hold the Halichudei Kai patters you in Gansen. But what do you see in the Rashba? The Rashba holds he's comparing wearing 2 pairs of tefillin, which sounds very similar to doing a mitzvah twice, although it's not muchach. It seems Rabbi Chanan is going on like that. He's going that since it's bevas achas, he's learning that it's more stark. You can just learn the Raj, but putting 2 pairs of tefillin is like you're doing a mitzvah twice. And v'shteita, the Raj said it should have been patur tzayil chudei. Afilach he said no a lot. So what do you see from the Raj? But he argues with Taisus. The Michas Chana start off with Taisus. He asks, why does the Rashba by Tkias Shofar a different Rashba? Why by Tkias Shofar the Rashba answers the reason why the Chazal were allowed to be Masak and Shofar is because Chazal could do whatever they want. But why doesn't he answer? How could it be? It would seem from here, like the Michas Chana, if the Rashba argues with Taisus, that the Rashba holds there is Baltais doing a mitzvah twice. For Michas Chana, how you talking? If the guy eats extra kazai is matzah, Baltais. So first, before I answer that question, as I stated, it's mashma from the Rashba and Shuvas that it's because he compares it. It seems to compare doing a mitzvah twice to Hayel Chudei and Filoch, he says there's a lav. So I would explain why the Rajba doesn't say Taisus is tarets. I frex the Akasha Hayel eat matzah 2 times. The answer is very simple, because the Gemara by Yoshim Shmini B'Sukkah, the Gemara says over there, Shaloi B'Zmano Yiboy Kavana. Yoshim Shmini, a guy sleeps in the sukkah the 8th day. Shaloi B'Zmano, you need Kavana. Sleeping the 8th day, that's called Shaloi B'Zmano. You're only over with Kavana. So the Chayra, the Gemara's Klar says that once you yotza a mitzvah, after that everything's considered Shaloi B'Zmano. The Gemara of the Klar says first. It's not even if it's the same day. If you yotza a mitzvah, it's over. Strikes the Merakasha, hey, allowed to eat 2 kazesim of matzah. The answer is very simple. The same reason the Gemara says you're allowed to sleep in the sukkah. Shloi b'zmani b'ay kavona. So once you yotza the mitzvah of matzah, so unless you're machavim for the same mitzvah, there's not going to be about Tosif. So what was the Raj's kasha? Tkias shofar right there. You're blowing shofar. You're blowing for the mitzvah. You're not blowing to eat because you're hungry. Of them, that's considered kavona. So he said, no, Chazal are right. Do masakin, whatever reason you don't have a problem. Oh, but Chazal kasha and the Raj mamish chicken kasha b'chlal. So the kasha dvar of heichnet and lulav kamapam bayom. See that I don't know what that kasha is talking. Who said he take lulav kamapam bayom? If you take it a bunch of times, that will be about Tosif. If he kind of gets up and or also lulav could be whenever you're holding it, you stole the mitzvah. He himself mentioned that far later on. So that's that'll be the answer. So now back to Tosif, but Tosif doesn't hold the whole thing. Tosif holds doing a mitzvah twice, no about Tosif b'chlal. I bezuyit shver yoshim b'shmini b'sukkah. It's like doing a mitzvah twice. You have to mechadish that it's dependent on if you're adding on a number. Shivas yam, and Mamela Tosif had to differentiate. He said so too by Adas and Aravis as well. Since there's no number, Mamela there's no Bal Tosif. Now I want to tell you a very interesting riff. Riff steht azeh. But it's a raya to my Yisrael. Basically, the biggest Yisrael we're saying over here is Taisus. A new explanation for Taisus. No one understands this, but it's mamash muchach minei obey Taisus. People just say you do a mitzvah twice. No, Taisus is not mamash, but it's tolian. It's tolian. If you're adding a number, it depends. It could be mitzvah twice. If you're adding on to the mefresh number which mefresh b'kra, because Taisus is not against the Gemara. The Gemara says clear Yashim Shmini would have been Maltaisiv if you're mechav. And the Riff says like this. The Riff in Berachis, Yud Gimel Manal Daf Riff, steht azeh. Oh, Omar Rav Yudah Mel Shmuel, he omid b'tefillah v'nizkar shekvar spal. Pesik afil b'emtza b'rocha. You had to stop. Ken shepspal tefillah se'adayt d'chev v'shach shekvar spal v'am l'spal adayt d'chev v'nizkar shekvar spal. Pesik afil b'emtza b'rocha. Shem bo l'geimra. If you would finish it davening, nimtzuk mishamakriv shnei tmidim b'shachars. Shrei v'mishamal teisif. So the Riff, he like mimakriv 2 tmidim is bal teisif. Shrek dach, right? What's about Taisus over here? You're doing a mitzvah twice. The Fishi does Taisus, and the is doing a mitzvah twice. So the is not about Taisus. Davening Meshachris 2 times. Are you going to tell me Taisus that maybe Riff doesn't know like Taisus? But in the Rosh, he says the exact same thing. In the Rosh, in other places, I don't have my notes over here, but he said I think it's Taisus Rosh. Okay, you could say Taisus Rosh, not the Rosh. And when he says like Taisus Rosh, they're doing mitzvah twice is not about Taisus. And he says over here it is about Taisus. Aber lefi hanal, that's your shaper hativ. About the Teirah State is a kevis or echot tasiva baker. Is then 1 kevis. So you're adding a second one. You're adding on to a number. State a kevis or echot. State 1. Mamela is nit shver lach the ganze meise. The Beis Yitzchak he rather wants to answer something else. He wants to taina that the Riff holds that the mitzvah of Tamid Shel Shachar and Tamid Shel Ben Arbayim is 1 mitzvah. This is Shittas. Is that the Shittas Rambam? One of the Rishonim. I think the Rambam maybe or some they count it as 1 mitzvah. So maybe you don't look at it I'm doing a mitzvah twice. Okay, you look at it I'm doing 3. And the Torah says you have to do 2, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. If I'm adding on 1, it's as if I'm doing 3 during the day. So you don't look like doing 1 mitzvah 2 times. I'm just adding on a number. But it's a I'll say it's a little interesting. It's a big chiddush. Yeah. So okay, we'll skip that next part of the part of the Ravid because that's very confusing. So I'm just going to add Sayim with the Dvar Agoda, cover the Chag about Bal Taisus. It's not Mamash Dvar Agoda, but I mean Dvar Agoda means it's Shtusim introduction. Shaila is one of the Achronim ask, why do you need a pasuk to tell me Lo Yosef by Makis? That you're not allowed to give a guy, Bez is not allowed to give a guy an extra Makkah. Why do you need a pasuk for that? Typically, Al Bal Taisus. There's a mitzvah to give a guy Makis. So So why do you need? The Torah says don't edit. I can't edit because I'm a baltaisif. I give a guy 40 minutes. It's baltaisif. So and you can't tell me somebody should I know somebody want to say no because you're doing a mitzvah twice, but it's not true. According to what we said in Taisus, it's totally if there's a number in the pasuk, so I'm adding on to the minion. So I still want teres. I wanted to say so afterwards in the back of the klichemda, he wants to tie in a very partial teres because the mitzvah is on of baltaisif. The mitzvah of makkah baltaisif is on the yachid minach. Whose mitzvah is it? The shliach bezdin. The shliach bezdin. He's the one being over. He's the one being over. What do you call it? Being over lo yosef, but he wouldn't be over baltaisif because he's not getting a mitzvah. Who gets the mitzvah to give makkah? It's not yachid's mitzvah. You don't have a mitzvah to give. It's a mitzvah on bezdin. So it's two separate things. There's no baltaisif. You're just doing kind of close. Like a mitzvah. It has to be on the same person. In other words, there wouldn't be baltaisif. The mitzvah is not on you. It has to be your mitzvah. The mitzvah to give malchus is not a mitzvah on the shliach bezdin, but the lav of lo yosef, the shliach bezdin is doing it. But I wanted to say a different teretz. I wanted to taina ken jogen that the baltzdo adim nikla chicha leinacha kimash nikla erika chicha. So pshat is who do you give malchus to? The Rosh, the guy who's over there. Once you give him 39 malchus, that person has no shaykh. There's no baltaisif b'chalal because it's like you're hitting around the guy in the street. Baltaisif means this guy deserves liyut suyir. Pshat is this guy needs malchus. Give him too many. But once you give him the 39, he's off the hook. He's good to go. So why is that baltaisif b'chalal? You're not getting a mitzvah of malchus. It's not like you're adding on to the mitzvah. Lulav, it has such a shaykh as tzarach haged. You're adding on to the mitzvah. But once there's a din of kimin shenikla reika chicha, there's a din that the guy is off the hook. He's good to go. So by me giving him an extra whip, I'm not getting baltaisif b'chalal because who am I hitting? I'm hitting it from the guy. I'm hitting as if I'm going to the guy in the street. If I give a guy 39 malchus and then I go over to you and I give you a whip, am I a baltaisif? No, why? Because you're not mechayiv. What do you? Same thing. What does he have to do with that? It's tshuva. It's tshuva. That's what I meant. It's Mamash Shabbos. You see from here the koyach from tshuva Rabbi said that once you get your makkos, you 39. Once you do your tshuva, you got your kapara, you're good to go. Your mamash the alt kedei kach that if the shliach bezdin does it, he's not a baltaisif b'chalal. It's nachsel in your you have like a blank face. You're saying I'm talking to the wall. Shtus mit l'akshon. Sigid. Okay, fine. Givaldi. Okay, I'm repeating myself 100 times. I think you're not getting it. So in your nenu, you have a feller. You have a guy. Shofar in Rosh Hashanah. The brisker wants to blow shofar. To and the ganze Sache. Is there baltais? Okay, so loitais is a chanah. Loiten rashbo. L'chayr is a starker problem with baltais because just like he holds doing a mitzvah twice, it'll be as long as you're mechaven, we also tell you in this manner. According to him, there's a lav, and it's still telling you in this manner. And the reason why he said the chazal and the kach be masakin. But if you're blowing for the mitzvah, you're not doing it when there might be a serious issue of baltais, unless you have to make a zat tonight like the rajba, that it's only al das that is talking to achiyah. But really, according to if you want to be a brisker, you have to be makbid that you have to only do me'akaylis and nothing more to be yitzchid is arriving. Good to know it, shkayach everyone for listening, and the mitzvah should be zeiche to sit in the sukkah shel Moshiach, meir of Yomeinu, Amen.